world where, where everything is digitized, email is critical. Your mobile app and your iPad app are more critical than ever. Your web application is also important. It all needs to work together.
Right.
Each one of these needs to be a source of excellence. Hello, everyone. You are listening to the Data Unlocked podcast. In this podcast, we explore ways in which data drives creativity and innovation for marketers, and we explore that with the best and the brightest in the industry. My name is Jason Davis, founder and CEO of Simon Data, a growth platform driving smarter marketing for brands like JetBlue, TripAdvisor, Equinox, and BarkBox. I'm thrilled to have our guest, Mike Herrick, SVP of Technology at Airship, on our show today. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, it's great to be here, Jason.
Great. Diving into things here, with the onset of the pandemic and all the changes to COVID, we wanted to focus today on one of the specific aspects of this intense digitization that we've seen over the last 2 years. And that's really, the mobile nature of today's consumer. Within that, we wanted to really hone in on what does this mean for the listeners of our podcast today? And in particular, how does your mobile data and engagement strategy need to adapt accordingly? So maybe to kick off, Mike, maybe you can sort of just first talk a bit about Airship, what you guys do, and then from there we can get into some of the trends that sort of the topic of the show today.
Yeah, sure. So Airship, so as you mentioned, I'm the SVP of Technology at Airship. So I look after, everything from our product strategy to, the operation of our platform. Our focus is on app experience. And so we do everything from push notifications to really immersive experiences inside of our customers' apps. And then in addition to that, we'll send email from your app, SMS from your app, but we're all about really driving that end-to-end mobile experience and trying to give our customers insight from that and then integrate with the rest of their tech stack, which often includes a company like yours.
Great. And so maybe we can talk about, Airship has been around for probably 8, 9, 10 years now. And, as with everyone in the data and the MarTech and the sort of the consumer engagement space, we really all saw, the changes that, happened when the pandemic hit 2 years ago. And obviously these changes all started with the consumer and user behavior, and then, obviously quickly, translated upstream to, how marketers oriented to the new consumer, oriented to new behaviors, and of course use the technology, appropriately. So maybe you can talk about some of the, really some of the trends that you've seen around sort of post-COVID digitization at Airship.
Yeah, a couple things come to mind. One, obviously, all things digital through the pandemic have been huge. Like many companies, we've seen a fair amount of user growth. Just the number of users our customers have that use their apps has steadily grown. We've got billions of active users. That's gone up, at least like 10, 20% through the pandemic. And we've also just seen that our customers, end users, want to do more and more inside of their app. People are using, mobile usage continues to grow, even though, maybe through the pandemic, people weren't moving around quite as much, but, just that interface of the mobile phone or the iPad or tablet has really continued to grow. I remember before the pandemic, people predicting like that apps were going to decline. And I laughed. One of the reasons I laughed is I've been proven wrong on email. I remember saying that, well, email is going to decline. Like none of these things ever decline. Like once you find a useful medium to reach consumers, like it doesn't go away. And so what we've found, what our customers are trying to do through the pandemic is, drive much more transactions than they used to probably. So we've seen a lot of customers do use cases like buy online, purchase in store, or airlines have gotten much more focused on really managing the entire, they tend to call it the day of travel experience. And so they're just trying to remove as much friction from that for consumers. And so they keep investing into their apps to, make those experiences much more seamless. And so we've been helping them a lot with those types of use cases.
Great. And Mike, maybe you can talk a bit more about some of the foundational differences between mobile app and mobile web. And, before the pandemic, I had also heard, the speculation around, hey, the mobile app is dying. But really, what drove the resurgence? What, from a technology perspective, from an experience perspective, what is it about the mobile app that really, especially in sort of a post-COVID world, is sort of driving its adoption?
Yeah, I think, just like my comment on email, like you can't just have a mobile app, just like you can't just have a website, even if it's like a mobile responsive website. I mean, if you're just going to have one thing, like, maybe you have a strategy like that. But what we found, particularly with, these kind of newer brands or enterprise companies, like once they see the dollars they're driving through their app, like they understand that, hey, you got to fundamentally invest in each of those things. And there's no kind of shortcut to like some, one website, that can suffice for mobile. So, some of the differences, particularly with native mobile apps, comparing that to like just a responsive website, is just the user experience is purpose built for mobile. You can send push notifications to Android websites, but not iOS. That's one important other, specific thing. But I think, when you have an app on one of your customers' phones, it's there permanently. They're always logged in generally. Yes, it gets push notifications, but that user experience, if you take an airline as an example, like I fly Alaska a lot. It's just a tap away for me to look at my kind of mileage summary. Like I don't have to wait for, a laggy kind of website and I don't have to navigate some website. I think what it really comes down to is, native mobile apps they feel purpose built for mobile. And, if you invest in them, like the kind of user experience that you can create for consumers is, really unmatched by the web.
100%. And, just reflecting on my personal experience, I live in Brooklyn, and, we're, me and my 7-year-old are big Brooklyn Nets fans. So, when I sort of look to get tickets, I generally just buy day of, and I use SeatGeek in their app. And they're very good, about, obviously having a rich marketplace to, where you can buy last minute tickets, but, also their push strategy, and they're a Simon Data customer today. But you're really just thinking about, from a consumer perspective, what's the availability? Is there an opportunity to go, 90 minutes before the game, and just having that fluid, dynamic experience where I can browse through the stadium, you look at any section, and really just understand what the trade-offs is. It's very hard to replicate that kind of thing, in a web application.
Well, I think there's something about just. It feels so casual on your phone. Like, I don't know about you, but when I got to log in on my desktop or something, it's just like, it's not as fun. Like, I mean, that experience that you're kind of describing with SeatGeek. I mean, we still, even though mobile phones have been around for 15 years now, like smartphone era, like still every month or so, I'll have some new magical experience. I'm like, that's so cool. Like, and that just took like 20 seconds,
Yep. No, 100%. And of course, the goal of sort of every app developer, is to get to that sort of primary placement on my home screen. And keep it top of mind. But when it does work, when the flywheel happens, around, making sure that it's used on a regular basis, hourly, daily, minimally weekly, then it's an amazing thing. But when it's not, this is when sort of strategies, that Airship brings to the market with push, and of course. Some of the stuff that we do at Simon Data to coordinate this across the broader channel mix, become critically important. Mike, I guess before the show, we were talking a bit about some of the Airship's new capabilities around, being able to affect a much finer, level of granularity around personalization. So maybe you can talk about that and some of, maybe just talk a bit about, the product for our listeners, but also just talk about adoption, the trends you're seeing around, how consumers are actually, responding to, to different types of messaging and really what's most effective.
So I'll start with personalization and then kind of weave into some of our newer capabilities. But you know, before the pandemic, we invested for a couple of years in really making things like our content personalization and segmentation much more sophisticated. And throughout the pandemic, we've seen steady adoption of those capabilities from our customers, which has been really exciting and at times challenging, just because we've got some of our customers have 10 to 50 million users, and maybe before our personalization capabilities, they would maybe segment their audience and send unique messages. But we started seeing our customers sending a message to 10 million people or more, and for every person they got a totally unique message because it was highly personalized. So we've seen that's been really, really exciting to see those types of capabilities get used more. And as you know, to drive those kind of use cases, we need to collect much more data, or we need to be able to reach out into other systems as those messages are sent. We've got this capability we call external data feed, where we can just fetch data. That capability has caused some of our customers some challenges. So we've had to make sure that we throttle that appropriately so we don't take down their website when we're sending those 10 million messages. So that's been really exciting. Then on the segmentation side, just our customers are getting really sophisticated. Maybe instead of creating a segment of a couple attributes, they'll do that, include a list, include behavioral events, and so the type of kind of analysis that we got to do to solve for that segment isn't as easy as it used to be. But beyond personalization, where we've really been investing, and we're just rolling it out now. We announced it last fall, our app experience platform. And that new platform has a number of really exciting new capabilities around app experience specifically. So we are introducing this new solution that we're calling Airship Scenes. It kind of plays off of, like a movie scene. And what Airship Scenes is all about is trying to help our customers create these kind of ad hoc experiences, multi-step experiences directly inside of their app. And it incorporates, user experience elements, data collection elements, and it kind of feeds that flywheel of personalization. So, making it much easier for customers to do that, to collect, zero party data so that they can then personalize from it and then send it to other systems like Simon Data so that they can use it across their data ecosystem. So we've got Airship Scenes, we've got Airship Surveys, and Airship Preference Center. And what makes these so exciting to our customers is they were purpose built for native mobile apps. And so we invented some really cool technology to make this possible. You create these things in the Airship UI, you publish them, and then they get rendered natively inside of your app and have behavior. It's really a one-of-a-kind solution that we're really excited about, and our customers are pretty thrilled.
That's super exciting. And we wrap the show. Maybe you can sort of tell folks about how to learn more about your Airship and some of these new launches more specifically. I think we maybe have time for one more quick topic, certainly relevant around data, and that's some of the changes to iOS and some privacy changes. Mike, there's probably no one, a few people in the world more qualified than you, to talk about, what these mean. So maybe you can sort of, first briefly summarize what they are, and then sort of talk about, what it means, to really be able to, collect, consumer data in a privacy compliant fashion, with these new limitations and sort of what your approach is with Airship.
Yeah. So there's two things. I'm sure most of your listeners will know about both of them. With the most recent version of iOS, Apple, introduced a bunch of restrictions specifically around cross data tracking, right? You need to get consent and it's specifically around the IDFA and ad tracking. Another probably lesser known thing that they updated is around getting opt-ins for push notifications, specifically around marketing oriented messages. you're supposed to get an explicit opt-in for that. Now that's one of the reasons that we built our preference center, to make that just really simple for our customers to get that consent or any other consent, or and we call it kind of like opt down. The last thing you want is people to opt out of messaging. So the key is to give them enough preferences so that they can, tailor that experience, so they get the content that they want. But with IDFA tracking, we've gotten tons of questions about that from our customers, because it's really impacting the kind of top of funnel app user acquisition part of the market. And what we're seeing is they can't make their kind of app acquisition as fine grained as they used to be able to, when they could just log into Facebook and do lookalike type things. They're attracting much larger swaths of users. So that makes the kind of initial app onboarding experience just critical. That was one of the reasons that we invested so heavily in this Airship scenes technology that I mentioned. But we're seeing that our app customers are needing to really tailor that onboarding experience, and they're having to collect more data on an ad hoc basis through their apps, so that they can personalize that experience and learn more. Like I said, they used to be able to just kind of rely on simple lookalike type ad acquisition campaigns, and they would get the exact users that they wanted. So they didn't have to really care about onboarding and user engagement, because they were getting like the perfect user every time. And those days are kind of, I wouldn't say over, but it's much harder. Every customer I've talked to that focuses on both app acquisition and user engagement has said that the game is totally shifting, in that they're seeing a much bigger kind of collaboration between user acquisition teams and user engagement teams, and they're having to get much more sophisticated about that kind of app experience, because retention has always been important, but now it's vital. But I think it's driving a lot of innovation and new thinking in the app market around really understanding users and experimenting in new and creative ways. So it's an exciting time in the app ecosystem for sure.
Yep, no, 100%. And I know we're sort of at the top of our time here today, Mike. But just wanted to wrap and thank you for coming on the podcast, and sharing your wisdom with us. Really, when I take a step back on our conversation, there's sort of many themes that are sort of happening simultaneously. And actually, recorded an episode just earlier this week with Eric Huberman, who's the CEO at Hawk Media. We talked about some of the basics, around how to develop customer-centric KPIs to really, identify leverage points to really make sure that you're focusing on the right metrics, that are customer-centric. And, we talked about this notion of CAC to LTV, and, to really, blend acquisition, and really think about, beyond the click or the app download, but downstream, into a broader view of the customer life cycle, and really what that means for customer lifetime value. This is the future. And 100%. And in a world where everything is digitized, email is critical. Your mobile app and your iPad app are more critical than ever. Your web application is also important. It all needs to work together.
Right.
Each one of these needs to be a source of excellence, to meet the customer where they are. Because it's the amount of digital activity today is, far higher than 2 years ago, and things have really changed materially. So, with that, I think, some great stories, some great technology, some great learnings, and tidbits of advice around some of the iOS changes as well, with regards to privacy and data collection and more. But Mike, maybe you can tell our listeners who might want to learn more about Airship where they can go.
Yeah, sure. Well, I mean, first, I totally agree with what you just said. Like, it's not good enough to have, okay website, okay email, or like great email, okay website. Like, and this is why, Simon Data and Airship exist, right? Like, you gotta have an awesome data ecosystem. You have to have an awesome app there isn't this all-in-one solution, that's going to make everything great. But so in terms of finding me, I'm easy to find on the internet. If you Google me, I'll come right up. Just Google Mike Herrick and you'll find me, and I'd be happy to connect with anybody out there.
Great. And of course, to learn about Airship, you can go to airship.com. And thank you for everyone listening to this episode of the Data Unlocked podcast. And if you'd like to learn more about Simon Data, please visit us on the web at simondata.com or email us at hello@simondata.